Check out that tire. It says something on it. It's like a soccer ball. When feeling something, it's going to rest. Yeah, I'm just here along the Schuylkill River. What's poppin', people? It's Dante. Beautiful morning. Oh man, listen to the sound of the birds. Beautiful day. Ah, I missed. Maybe I'll try one more time. Let's see. Just give me a good rock and I shall hit the target. Oh, damn. All right, I gotta work on my throw. All right, let's hit the trail, baby. So this is a dirt path. Why do I like dirt paths? Dirt paths feel better on the feet. There's something about the change in the elevation, the difference of textures, the things that you feel along the way. I love nature. I believe I have an affinity for nature. Biophilia, you know, the love of natural things. There's something about it. Yeah, so I come here each and every day to start my day because it simply feels good, you know. I love the open spaces. I love being out. I love exploring. And yeah, what better way to explore? What better way to go through life but to snapshot your way through life? So the greatest thing about a compact camera that you can fit on a wrist strap is the simple fact that it's easy to use. I can point and shoot and not think too much about the outcome, the results. I simply throw the camera around, have fun. You know, you could say, look, this is a leading line. But I'm merely looking at a dirt path. You know, I'm looking at life in front of me. I'm looking at the world and all of its multifaceted complexities. Whether I'm photographing on these trails, looking at a squirrel over there. Looks like the squirrel took some leaves or something in its mouth. You know, or I'm in the hustle and bustle of urban life on a street corner here in Philadelphia. You know, there maybe is something about the city and life in a city that provides me with this perfect balance. There's the perfect balance between order and chaos. Look at this squirrel. What are you doing, buddy? It's hopping around, man. They are very agile. The way a squirrel moves around the tree, it's just like this fluid and quick movement. And they must be so light because they're on these very thin branches and they go up and down, and it's like a whole different world out here. But yeah, the city, it's the perfect balance. There's this harmony that exists where it's just gritty enough. You know, there's just enough chaos and ugliness, but then there's just as much beauty in these natural spaces. There's just enough beautiful architecture and historic locations that keep me inspired and excited with the nice sculptures and things I can find out here. You know, I find that being around people, being around society, you know, it helps you stay in touch with reality. And maybe I believe the city is supreme and the city is where humans are designed to live and thrive. However, I'm reminded of my time in Zambia, Africa, as a Peace Corps volunteer. I worked with aquaculture, fish farming, and yeah, it was quite an interesting experience. But the most wisdom I can draw from this particular experience is the hierarchy that exists in a functioning society or a village, right? So there is There are 72 tribes in Zambia, Africa. I was a member of the Bemba tribe. I spoke the local language, Ichi Bemba. Kwisa Lupoyandi. Where is my family? In Impanta, in Sampia, the Luapula province. Quite a beautiful location surrounded by Lake Bangweulu. I lived amongst the Bemba tribe, and in a functioning village there is a hierarchy. There is God, tribe, and land, and everybody in the village has a role to play. Women come home with firewood on her head and babies on her back. The men are building homes and churches. The boys are building bricks with sand and mud. The girls are sweeping the floors. The girls are cleaning and preparing the food for the day. You know, everybody has a role to play. One of the key features of my particular village was the transportation by the lake. So there were many jobs where people would deliver food to islands and villages across the lake, and this was one of the key businesses. It was exporting goods that were then coming from Lusaka from these long journeys. It takes around 14, maybe 20 hours to get to the village by car, and so these gigantic trucks would come with rice specifically and deliver the rice from my village all the way to the next village over across the lake, and people would use these basic sort of rowboats. One of my close friends, Amaz, would work the rowboats often and do deliveries. He actually would take me on his boat sometimes to just go for little tours. Lots of alligators, crocodiles. They always warned us to be careful and mindful. However, the experience of riding along the lake was exhilarating, and I think about this in relationship to city life, as the transportation systems that we have in place are what keep a city thriving and functioning. Think of Amazon, think of grocery stores, think of Whole Foods, think of the delivery services required for cities to receive the food that we need to thrive. And I think we are quite disconnected from the farm, quite disconnected from nature generally when considering the food that we consume. It's a good hill, man. Yeah. He's hiking up the hill. Doing those like uphill sprints. I mean, I find that even just walking up this hill, it's a nice little workout, you know? And yeah, so maybe, you know, what's fun, I remember being in Miami and they had these little RC robot cars that were delivering food to apartments. I'm not exactly 100% sure which like services these were. Like maybe it was like Uber Eats or like one of those things, but they delivered food automatically, and I suppose the person gets a notification on their phone to then, you know, pick it up and go downstairs. Even Giant, the grocery store here, has this like robot inside the store, and it seems like it's cleaning or notifying workers where to clean. I'm not exactly sure what it does, but it's about the height of a human being, and it kind of just goes around the aisles, and it seems like it's just telling the workers, oh, clean here, do this, maybe stock this shelf. I don't know what the function of it is, but it seems like we're using technology a lot in urban cities, and we're highly, highly dependent on it. And so yeah, I'm just gonna head over here to my cliff. Wow. So one of the most beautiful things about photography is that we are merely painting with light. And when I observe this landscape day after day after day, I notice the nuances and gradual change that light provides me. You know, it's a very beautiful thing, photography, where you cannot make the same photograph twice, right? The landscape will always be different. The clouds that cast upon the sky will always be slightly different. The nuances and changes that light provides will always be different. And embracing this abundant, infinite, endless mindset while practicing photography in a stream of becoming, where you're in this process of making new pictures and you're not getting caught up with the results themselves, but merely embracing the everyday life, the changes and nuances of light. I believe this is where we can become supreme. Maybe like this hole, like this mole hole, whatever this is here, we are becoming like these people as well, living in apartments, living in condos, living in these little boxes, like shoe boxes. But you know, I actually think that to expand your horizon, to embrace an open space, it just reminds you that you can too go beyond that horizon. You can conquer and explore the world. And I think that we can conquer the world through photography, because it really is a superpower. Perhaps to understand light is to understand life. And for me, my purpose is to become closer with life itself, and photography being that vehicle to drive me there. I'm reminded of the village once more, and I find that some of the stories I can draw from, and a lot of the inspiration and wisdom that can come from, comes to me, is from my personal experiences, right? And I believe that studying and, you know, learning through history, textbooks about photography, or learning about the masters and studying photography, it's quite boring and maybe not necessary, frankly. I mean, as much as I love photographs, I like looking at pictures, I don't really do it too much, right? I have a few photo books at home, I look at them briefly sometimes, but for the most part, I find my inspiration through these beautiful flowers, nature, the sculptures that are outside, you know, things that do not necessarily have to be found within the realm of photography. So maybe we should disconnect from photography and simply become inspired by what we find outside and our real direct experiences in life. You know, where there is a museum here in front of me, you know, I can go inside and become inspired by the artworks that are displayed in there. But frankly, a lot of the things that I believe wind up in museums, they're found outside. Like, I find that the lamps, not these modern lamps, but the old lamps down there, you know, like those are modern, or those are pieces of art. You know, like the things that we created with intention to detail, such as the lamppost. You know, this one merely serves a function. You know, it's not aesthetically beautiful. This lamppost is jarring. It's just a big block, and then there's a block, right? It's just a square and a square. However, if you come over here, and you look at this lamppost, I mean, this is beautiful. There's an objectivity to this beautiful lamppost, right? There's an objective beauty to it. Look at the ribbed column, the way that it curves, the way that it goes from a thick base to a thin head, the shape of it, the detail, the intricate ornaments that are on the edges. There is something about the things that you can find outside that are much more inspiring than anything found in a boring gallery or some book. Yeah, so I say learn from experience and find inspiration outside in the open world. Check out this sculpture. I love photographing this sculpture. It's so cool. Just get like extremely low angle, make it look like a hero. When I get that lamppost out of the frame. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Like when you photograph, you can make this inanimate thing like a sculpture come to life. And when composing, when framing, when making a photograph, simply moving your body is the way to do it. You know, as much as you perceive the world with your eyes, perhaps your legs and the movement of your body is what determines the result of the photograph, more so than what you see. Check out this beautiful fountain here. I believe that this location in Philadelphia, this is just the most objectively beautiful place, right? So it's that balance, right, where I can go into the urban city after this walk. You know, I'm focused on the beauty, I'm focused on the good, I'm focused on what makes my city so great, right? I love Philadelphia. I believe Philadelphia, this can be like the new Athens, like welcome to Greece, welcome to Rome. You know, like this is just a beautiful place to call home. But the reality is there are lots of ugly things, there are lots of ugly people, there's lots of crime, there's lots of problems. But to focus in on the beauty and to maybe forget about the bad, forget about the ugly, but embracing it openly, you know, as a street photographer, yeah, I think it sets you up for success where you really do thrive amongst the chaos. You know, you have to embrace it. But there is something about places like this where I find my inspiration, and I come here every morning because of that. And yeah, maybe the city is better than living elsewhere. You know, where the village does feel like a city. There's lots of people. You know, the amazing thing about the village is the amount of families that exist. Like there are so many big families where you would see families of like 10 people, like minimum. Like you'd see like 10 children per family, it feels like. You know, a lot of families, like my host family had around that amount of children. You know, the oldest one being around 25 and the youngest being 3, right? And maybe wealth is family and luxury is time. And so an interesting thought about time is when I walk this path specifically, because it simply goes forward and onward pretty much infinitely into the distance towards Valley Forge, it feels as though time stands still. It feels as though when you walk on this path, time is longer. But when you walk around the grid and you're turning and you're weaving and you're sort of going around the grid over and over again on a loop, time feels shorter. There's something about walking within a city in an urban space designed with like squares where time, it's just faster. It's faster paced. The people are walking faster, people are moving faster. But the extension of a trail that just goes onward, yeah, it feels like time stands still. You know, where when I photograph, I feel like I exist outside the passage of time. For maybe I will die, but I can make photographs. You know, these things can outlast me. But more so than this notion, you merely exist in the present moment. And this is one of the greatest gifts of photography that it can provide an individual that is curious about this medium. Is if you're looking for this meditative thing in your life, if you're looking for a way to shut out the noise, the distractions, it may be by honing in on the detail, you know, where God is in the detail. Yeah, this is where the beauty of photography lies, is in the curiosity that it will provide you with, because each and every morning I'm waking up with my eyes wide open, with an insatiable lust for life, you know, merely curious about where I will go next. And man, that car was weird. Driving in cars is weird. Connection is key. I guess she was just making a U-turn. This is a young child's jacket. Connection is key. Yeah, maybe through photography you become more connected with life. You know, you may think, oh, you know, aren't you like out of the moment because you're making, let's actually try to get these runners that they come this way in the frame. Like, they're not coming. Never mind. Oh, you know, you're making like photographs. Doesn't that take you out of the moment? You know, I believe it puts you more in the moment. I believe you become closer to life. I believe that you exist more presently through photography. Yeah, that's my thought. And so, yeah, I've been going on these walks where, you know, I walk along the Schuylkill River Trail and head towards this Lemon Trail, and you really do get stuck in the forest. You're kind of just surrounded by trees, and it's a nice little walk, you know. It reminds me of my childhood spent in the Wissahickon, where I grew up in the woods, building teepees with sticks and bridges with stones. Yeah, I'm going to actually go for a hike with my friends there soon. Yeah, I think that connection is key, right? I have friends that I've made from I was 3, you know, like I'm still friends with the people I knew when I was 4 years old. And that is, I believe, where real raw connection is made. It's through time. The greatest thing about my childhood was I had classmates that from pre-K to grade 8 you stay with in each class, in each grade, where you advance to first, second, third grade, whatever, and you stay with the same students. And yeah, maybe that's just a good thing. However, there's something about once you get to high school. I went to a public high school and it almost felt like a prison. I attended Central High School, one of the most like historic, best high schools or whatever in Philly. Actually, I believe the first photograph in America was made of my high school, of Central High School. And so you arrive at this school, you know, the first day, and it was very jarring, right? You go through like metal detectors, there's security guards, you know, like it just felt weird. Like it felt weird to transition from going to a Catholic school that was extremely orderly, the, you know, children were extremely nice, everything was beautiful, and then you go into this ugly, you know, sort of neighborhood, and you're entering a school that feels like a prison. And then you're sitting down in class, and you know, you go from class to class, you kind of just sit down, memorize, regurgitate, sit down, memorize, regurgitate, you know, while I understand discipline and being studious and learning, it's very jarring to me to have to sit down for this long. I had numerous occasions where I would simply walk out. Like I would just say, fuck this, I'm going for a walk. I'm leaving, I would just ditch class, go for hikes around the neighborhood, go walking around the lawn, you know, just explore away from the classroom. It just felt more fulfilling to me. And I actually believe it was restricted, you know, like even on your lunch break, like you weren't allowed to go outside. You know, don't they allow prisoners to go outside? Don't prisons have an outdoor space? You know, prisoners have a period of time where they can go outside. I wasn't allowed to go outside during lunch break. I think maybe there was a period where they allowed you to go out to this little patch of... It was definitely forbidden. Like, people would just go out there anyway, though. I'm pretty sure you really couldn't go outside. You couldn't. They have security guards at like all the doors. You had to like find a door where you could like get out. It's like it's kind of funny. And my theory about modern society now is people kind of just stay in school forever. You know, people kind of just stay in school forever. You know, we're denying the human body, the biology, the physiology. We're denying our natural instincts. We're denying ourselves in replacement for technology. Working at computers, spending all day inside. You know, it really does not help a human thrive. And I think that the antidote to all of this is within nature, within walking, within the movement of your physical body. And so, yeah, maybe school sets people up to be a fool, and I kind of saw through it right away. But alas, Philadelphia is my new paradise. Yeah, I love walking. What is my number one passion? Forget about photography. It's just walking. My passion is walking. I've walked far and wide. You know, crazy occurrence that happened in the village while I was living in Zambia was, you know, violence. At one point, very brief point, just like one time, I experienced violence, not on myself, but just witnessing. And actually, I was seated just walking through the park here in Philadelphia at Rittenhouse Square, and I noticed this hawk. That we have like a hawk or like some big bird that lives up in one of the trees, and it swooped down and it ate a baby bird. It just devoured the bird. All you saw were feathers coming down from the scene, and then just life moved on. It's like, I don't think anyone saw it. I was like, did you see that? Like, I like asked someone, I was like, did you just see that? Like, but no one saw it. I thought that was crazy. But yeah, nature is very violent, and within a tribe, within a village, there too is violence. And this young man, he actually tripped and pushed an old lady who already had a bad leg. She was using a cane, and the lady wound up dying soon after. And the family, they took matters into their own hand. They beat this man to a bloody pulp and drove him away from the village, no longer a member of the tribe, and he had to go and find his own. He ran away. He was out of there, and they took matters into their own hands because that's what they have to do. And it reminded me of the hierarchy that exists in society, in nature, and perhaps war, violence, hierarchies are necessary for society to evolve. Wow, what a beautiful spot. It is disappointing that we do not have sun today. However, I still enjoy the sounds of the birds, the trees, the breeze, and these incredible scenes. Check out the pavilion here. We'll take a nice look and call it a day. Just snapshot your way through life. Wow, somebody taped a flower. Look at the detail.